way. Need an exhaust. Well, the BMW is back and running. It's not broken. Knock on everything. Knock on everything. Nothing's broken right now. This is the first for the broken BMW.
Yeah, I was chasing a fuel pressure issue. It was very ironic because the night I put on the lowering springs and it dumped my ass on the car was the night that the car didn't want to start as well. So that was kind of that kind of hurt real bad. Emotionally and financially.
I asked you. I was like, "Dude, do you need help?" No.
You know, once the fuel pressure issue was there, then I had to start diagnosing what was the issue. And I actually had been chasing this fuel pressure issue for quite some time now, ever since I actually bought the car. But the car would throw just a fuel pressure adaptation error. So at first I was thinking, okay, maybe it's probably a clogged fuel filter and the fuel pumps are having to compensate even more. And that actually was the case. The fuel filter that was originally on the car had almost 100,000 miles. It was pretty dirty. So I swapped it out and the error went away for about 3-4 months now. And then all of a sudden, whoop, the night that I did the lowering springs, the fuel pump or the fuel system started to throw another fuel pressure issue. Except this time this was a low fuel pressure issue. When I hooked up my scan tool to it, the car was reading 0.1 bar of fuel pressure, which is non-existent. The car is not going to start with that.
Yeah.
So immediately I was thinking dead fuel pump. Can't build up pressure.
Exactly. That's a big.
It's just not gonna run.
Yeah.
Went back there, tested voltage. I was getting 12.1 volts at the terminals. I heard the pump turn on when the car was in the on position.
Right.
So then I started realizing, okay, maybe it's not a fuel pump. So then I moved over to the fuel filter. I think maybe the fuel pressure regulator is bad. Test that. The fuel pressure regulator is working fine. So then I start getting worried because I'm moving upstream into the motor, and at that point I'm like, okay, it's either a clogged inlet or a return fuel line that's causing this issue. The fuel pressure sensor might be bad and it's giving the car a false reading, or worst case scenario, boom goes the dynamite, one of my injectors got stuck open and hydro-locked my motor. And yeah, there goes the motor. Which on the S85s, if you guys don't know, they are notorious for hydro-locking motors because the injectors get stuck open and fuel just fucking fills the cylinder and bam, you bend a rod and game over. I was moving towards that and I'm like, oh shit, like, is the car done? So then I blow my fuel lines with some compressed air. Nothing came out. A few particulates, but nothing crazy. Then I moved to the fuel pressure sensor. Expensive little fucking thing. It was like 150 bucks, and it's located on the driver's side inner fender wheel well. It took me a while to find it, so if you guys have a fuel pressure issue and you're looking for that sensor, driver's side inner fender wheel well. Took it off, put the new one on, immediately turned the car on, but I didn't start it. The scan tool was now reading, I think, 6.5 to 7 bar of fuel pressure. So it was actually, there was actual fuel pressure at the rails. So now that ruled out the possibility of a stuck open injector because there was actually pressure being held in the system. If there was a stuck open injector, there would still be no pressure held up in the system. Bad accident right there.
Oh shit.
That sucks. Once I did that, car's battery was completely dead because I kept trying to start it and it ran the battery flat. So I had to buy a new battery. That was like,
which was like what, 200
yeah,
bucks?
It was like 200 bucks.
Oh,
so it was a $200 battery at AutoZone. Got that.
How much do you think it weighs?
Probably, I would say 50, 60 pounds.
Oh my god, yeah.
You can save a lot of weight.
And it hurts because when you try to lift it,
yeah,
those two handles don't really,
they're really thin, so they make it hard to...
Exactly, it's just plastic handles, so they just dig into your skin.
Yeah, it sucks ass. But got a new battery, threw it in the car, and the car still didn't want to start. So then I started realizing, okay, no start condition, but it cranks, you know, it's getting air, it's getting fuel now for sure, and it's getting spark. Tested that. So they figured, okay, the battery's kind of weak, you can't start the car. Sure enough, that was the case. I had to get another car to jump me, and by the second try, the car actually fired up. It took a little while for it to fire up, but it actually eventually did. So that was the whole problem with the car. The car just did not want to start. And then I also had to wrap up all the lowering spring installs because I left it half-assed, and because I was so pissed off that night, I just took the car out of the shop and left it on my driveway for what, 3 weeks.
It was on 4 stands, dude.
It was legit project car status. When your car's on 4 jack stands in your driveway, it's turned into a project car. So I had to make sure that did not happen with this car.
Yeah.
And plus my parents were starting to get upset that the car was on 4 jack stands and they couldn't put their cars in the driveway, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep.
So last night I decided to knock everything out, which was what, March 10th, I believe?
Yeah.
Or no, March 12th.
Was it? Yeah, no, yeah, March 12th.
Knocked it out late at night after I did some homework. Started around 11:30, 11 o'clock, I would say, and I finished around 2 o'clock in the morning. And went on a test drive, test the car out for a good hour, did some conservative pulls, did some wide open pulls.
Conservative pulls?
Well, I mean, I wasn't, I don't, to be honest, when I first drove the car, I was not confident in the car. I was really afraid something was gonna break. Not just in the motor, but in the suspension. I was really skeptical.
Because you were feeling something weird with the
I was feeling, right. When I first drove the car and the car died on me the second time on the freeway, I was feeling a very odd vibration in the steering wheel that was coming when I was turning right. So immediately I started thinking maybe it's something to do with the left wheel. And sure enough, last night as I was starting to put everything back together, I bumped my funny bone into the left wheel and I heard it go kunk. And I was just like, huh, that's a little funny. Go and grab it. 9 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 12 o'clock, and 6 o'clock, the wheel is moving really bad. So I'm thinking like, oh shit, like, is my control arms busted now? Is my tie rod busted? And I look at the lug nuts, and it is one of the scariest things to ever see on your car, especially after you've driven it, that the lug nuts were actually, I was able to spin in my hand. Legitimately spinning my hand with no resistance, and I'm like, that's okay, that's really scary.
That's sketchy.
And I figured,
did that not thread through?
I was hoping, my fear was the threads got stripped, and that's why they were backing out, and I'm gonna have to buy an entire new hub assembly to do that. And I was just like, man, that just kind of sucked.
Yeah.
But you know, I was able to put them back in, torque them correctly, and when I went on the test drive early this morning, the car didn't exhibit that symptom anymore of the vibration while you're making a right turn. So that fixed itself. So there was actually never anything wrong with the front suspension. It was just that tire was loose, so it would cause a vibration and a shudder in the steering wheel. Luckily, it was an easy fix, but
yeah,
it's something that could have turned really devastating had it come off on the freeway or something.
Well, are you feeling anything weird right now? I mean, so far,
I'm getting an EDC error now in the rear axle, which is kind of baffling me because the connectors are plugged in and they were working before. So I'm gonna have to see what's going on.
Do you think the wires is damaged?
I did damage one wire.
You did?
When I installed the springs initially, I did pinch the wire.
Because when you dropped the strut, like I think it fell on the top, right?
But the wire was working before, so I'm gonna see if that might be the issue. That's gonna be my first place to take a look at. But no, I don't have electronic dampening control anymore right now. So the car is running. The car is riding pretty rough. I think it sets it to the stiffest suspension setting and just keeps it there, and it's just absorbing these little tiny bumps, and it just feels like it's on coilovers now. And every time you hit a consecutive set of bumps, the car just friggin' jumps and everything, and it's not riding like how a BMW should drive, but
it's no longer truck height. It's very fitted. I think you should get spacers for the car because it's kind of tucked in right now. But I mean, if he doesn't,
I don't like the idea of spacers.
Well, I mean, I think you should space it out just a little bit, not too much, but just enough.
Oh yeah, it's enough, you know, 10 to 15 millimeter spacer. But it just I don't like the idea of running a spacer, in my opinion. I'd rather have full contact with the hub instead of having this piece of metal separating it and pushing it out. And then you're putting additional loads onto the hub itself, and its bearings. So I'm actually pretty happy with where the tires are sitting right now.
That's good. I mean, as long as you're happy with how your car sits. I mean, dude, like when we were driving to the car wash, I saw your car on the side mirror and I was like, dude, it looks so sick. It was so low, and like the LED headlights were just, it looked so mean. It had this aggressive look to it.
And I think that's the look that was missing from this car.
Yeah,
was that
stock,
because it was the front was pretty high up from factory, if I'm honest.
Yeah, honestly, the look the car has now should have came from factory.
Yeah, but I think it should have came like this, but you know, people who bought this car originally and people who I think still buy this car now don't really want, you know, the lowest M5. You know, it was pretty, I'm not gonna say it was super comfortable when it was stock, but it was, you know, it was decent, it was compliant, you know.
Yeah.
With the springs now, you can feel quite a bit more bumps. It's bouncy, that's for sure.
I wonder how this car is going to deal with like 4 people in the car.
I don't know, if I'm honest. Now that it's a little lower, I think
you're gonna rub.
I think I'm gonna run to an issue.
Yeah.
So we'll see, and we'll test that theory pretty soon. But
yeah, I mean, if anything, some people might have to sit accordingly.
Yeah.
Because you say the front is lower, right?
The front is significantly lower. I mean, it's almost tucking tire, if I'm honest. Whereas before there was a pretty significant amount of fender gap.
Yeah.
You know, now that's pretty much eliminated. So.
That's cool.
You can't get by with Harbor Freight.
Yeah, so there's that. So we're gonna be working on the Prius. There may be a Thursday night drift depending if the Prius is behaving well. What are we gonna do for this car? I
was gonna do stainless steel brake lines.
Brake lines. There was something else that you wanted to install or upgrade to.
Can't think of it. I might drop that right rear suspension arm again.
Okay. Well. Well, it'll come up later on. There's gonna be some more car meets, and then hopefully we can get some shots in for like reviews and stuff. Because I really want to talk about that Performante. Oh my god, dude.
Yeah.
That Hurricane beat the 918 by what, 6 seconds?
Oh, 5 I think it was. But
5?
Still 5 seconds is 5 seconds.
That's a big...
Even a second.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
It's still a lot of time.
Yeah, some people are skeptical, like saying that, ooh, it's so bumpy. But they're saying like, oh, Lamborghini cheated, blah, blah, blah. But there's a lot of things to take into consideration. That's oh, please don't scream. Oh, okay. Yeah, this is bumpy. But yeah, those are upcoming content. So as always, we're happy that the BMW is back and running again. If you like the video, leave a like, subscribe, and thank you for watching. We'll catch you guys next time.